Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the Focke-Wulf 190 F-8 sitting at 4.7 battle rating in the German 3. This is the one that can be equipped with the 30mm gun pods for ground attacking or bomber hunting ideal. I'm flying it without the gun pods because I wanted to have the fighter experience in this plane, but it is definitely doable to equip this thing with the 30mm gun pods. It does exclude any fighter role then though, because it makes a huge dent in the roll rate and in the other strong points of this plane. Maneuverability goes down a lot and the plane becomes a lot more sluggish. And I don't want that in my Focke-Wulf 190 experience, so I use the F-8 as a fighter, which is with its regular armament, the two 20mm and the two 30mm. That is quite enough for the job, and this plane as an attacker between, it can be used as an attacker with those 30mm, but the Germans use these things for everything. And so this thing gets an air start. And as you know, most of the Focke-Wulf 190s are not the most fantastic climbers. But the air start on this one, it makes up for a lot. And you can actually get the altitude and use this plane for what it's best at. And that is boom and zooming. And that is a joy. I do have to say that. That is a joy. Let's look at this plane. The Focke-Wulf 190s and the F-8 is no exceptions, are not the speediest of planes. This one is a tiny bit faster than the A8, which sits at the 5.0 battle rating, just slightly higher, but this one is slightly faster. The maximum speed of this one at sea level is 533 without web and 566 with web. At 4,500 meters, this is 466 without web and 487 with web. And finally, at 6,500 meters, still go up to 441 without web and 464 with web. Now this is without Mach in indicated airspeed, this speed. And so not the fastest plane in the world. Many Allied planes are faster than this plane. But in a dive, this thing is amazing. So the straight line performance, you have to make sure you have the energy advantage, and many planes can catch up to you. But the top speed in a dive in this plane is absolutely fabulous, with 867 before she redlines and over 930 before she rips apart. It is very difficult, if not impossible, to destroy this plane in a dive. I took it down from 7,000 meters and after that from 8,500 meters, and I could not get the thing to rip. So I got to 930 kilometers an hour, and after that I crashed into the ground, not ripping anything. So it's very difficult to rip this plane in a dive. You can go into the dive without any fears, and she'll outrun most planes that she'll faces there. So that is good. You have an escape option in this plane. That is always nice to know. Now the control stiffening and the performance in that dive is also pretty good. And the control stiffening starts to really be hampered at 500 kilometers an hour for the first tick. The more severe tick comes at 650 kilometers an hour, where she starts to slow down in the roll rate a lot more. And that is also where you want to think about getting out of the dive at 700-800 if you're close to the ground. If you're not close to the ground, you can keep going for a long time, because after the 650 the performance stays the same until the 930. You can still pull out of a dive at 930 without ripping anything easily. So I would say the performance in a dive of this plane is excellent. It's better than most planes, and you can definitely get guns on target on most planes as well. So in the dive, this is one of the areas where this plane definitely shines. I was playing with my squadron here. I will use this footage more often these days. In the past I used to always fly alone, but I can't combine the squadron and flying alone all the time. You will get the gist of the plane anyway, as I will always try to include single player gameplay as well. but you will see more squad gameplay from me in that sense. So yeah, but excellent performance in a dive on this plane, which is very, very nice. I love that. Going after planes and catching up to them, getting them finally. Stall speed in the plane is 160, which is no more than average. Nothing spectacular there. Firepower though is very good. Even in the basic setup you have two 20mm MG151 cannons with 250 rounds per gun, supported by two 13mm MG131s with 400 rounds per gun. Now, as this is the ground attacker version, the F-8, you have a wide range of bomb loads on this Focke-Wulf 190. You have rocket options and you have the 30mm gun pod option, which you can use for ground pounding, but you could also use it for bomber hunting, as they go down fairly easy with those gun pods attached to the plane as well. But as I said, you cannot use it anymore for anything else and expect to come out alive. As you do know, the 30mm gun pods are quite massive, and they do impede the flight model a lot, and I think it's a little bit too much. I want to be able to fly. I want to be able to be the fighter. You know, that's really my forte, and that's why I don't put those pods on this thing. So very good firepower with an excellent ammo load. Ammo load is really really good. You can go a long way with those ammo loads. Acceleration in a straight line is good. In a dive, it's even better with very good. Energy retention in the horizontal is good, and in the vertical decent. This is not the best plane in the vertical. Most of the Antons are not fantastic in the vertical, as the stall speed lies quite high and the vertical energy retention isn't the best compared to some of the competition. So you definitely have to be careful. This plane, because of the air start, does have a good chance to end up on top, as other people have to start from the airway. You do have an air spawn in this plane. That is another main advantage of this model. If you use it in this setup without the pods, you can use it that way. If you want to stay close to the ground and equip the 30mm, the plane can also be used in that capacity, definitely. We're going for a head-on with a B-25 here. I don't know what I was thinking, of course. I do get a crit on him, but I get damage as well. Well, it's one of those moments, I guess. Feeling superior, right? Never good, but always very good lessons. You're like, oh yeah, shouldn't be doing that. As I said, we come to the climb rate average on this plane. Average climb rate with an air start though, and that makes the whole setup for this plane better than average for how you end up in altitude. But the climb rate still is average. If you end up low and after that you will have to climb up or something, you have a problem. In this match we do fly alone, as you see, and we do get a Spitfire out of the way. As he was trying to turn, he was too slow from his climb, so he couldn't turn away very quickly, as we have several people trying to climb after us, which is always nice when you have the energy advantage. But they do manage to get out of the way before I can get them all, unfortunately. Turn time in this plane. Yeah, I was actually pretty positive for this plane. Decent turn time and good with flaps. The flaps only rip off at 760 kilometers an hour, so that is actually quite nice. You can use the flaps as you want. They won't rip off very quickly, and that is very nice, especially because the flaps on the Focke-Wulf definitely help to make the turn time a little bit better. Now that turn time is decent to good within a certain area, between 300 and 500 kilometers an hour. This plane has that decent to good turn time with the flaps good, but below 300 kilometers an hour the turn time on this plane turns bad, and I mean seriously bad. The moment you start turning 2 or 3 turns, you lose your speed, you drop below 300, and after that you're easy game for pretty much anything that you fight. Most planes turn better on the lower speeds than the Focke-Wulf 190, and so you gotta keep her fast. You gotta make sure that your engine isn't overheated and you can whip to your heart's content. when you're making that dogfight, so you keep that speed above 300. Stay clear of the 300 mark, and you will keep that good turn time with the flaps. But of course the flaps also slow down the plane a little bit, so it can be tricky, especially when you go into the vertical and you lose a lot of speed. After that you're screwed, so you gotta keep your head in this plane, you gotta keep your mind focused, and you absolutely gotta stay on point on this plane. Otherwise, in the turn fight, you're gonna die very quickly as you slow down. But yeah, this plane mainly is a boom and zoomer anyway. You don't want to be turn fighting only in a last resort measure. You can do that, and in that capacity between the 300 and 500 mark, this plane can surprise quite a few planes with the first few turns. After that, you gotta be careful. Be careful. Now the roll rate is one of the other points where this plane really shines. Great roll rate on the plane. It's not fantastic like the A5 U2, one of the best rolling Antons in the game, but this one is still great. I mean, the worst Focke-Wulf of them is still great in the roll rate, and defensive flying is very nice in this plane then. Absolutely gorgeous to make somebody overshoot with your rolling, and then shoot him out of the sky after that. That is fantastic in this plane, and it's one of the joys with flying the Focke-Wulf 190s with all the Antons, and also with the Doras, of course. Defensive flying in the thing is very nice. You know, many people fall in love with the Focke-Wulf 190s because of that speciality. And if you're smart, you actually try to get a lot of people to come and fight you, lure them into a dogfight. Especially when you still try to learn dogfighting and keeping an eye on people, it's just very nice to fly defensively in the Focke-Wulf 190. Absolutely. I'm not trying to practice it anymore. I'm trying to boom and zoom these days. I don't really have to practice a lot anymore, except when I'm rusty. But that's no problem. Overheating in this plane is also not a problem. It really, it didn't act up in any way for me. Durability in the plane is decent. You can take a hit or two and still take you home. And the flight model can also take that hit, so that's very nice. You can take her home. Of course, like any plane, you can be taken by the pilot or in a critical area. But all in all, I find it quite decent with the durability. So yeah, I use this plane as a boom and zoomer, as you should. But this plane is definitely set up the F-8 for ground attacking as well. You can do that to your heart's content if you want, and it makes a decent fighter after that. But yeah, with the 30s, I don't know. You can also just equip the bomb loads and not take the 30s. Then you can, after that, you're a decent fighter still. But you're low then, and the plane doesn't climb very well, so you're gonna waste your air start. I find it quite nice that this plane has an air start, and then use it in the fighter configuration can be quite satisfying, as you actually have a chance to get above people and to use the plane as a boom and zoomer, as this plane is supposed to be handled, in my opinion. So yeah, very nice plane. And always nice to revisit Kurt Tank's designs. That man was a brilliant aircraft designer, and I really love the planes he made. This thing being no exception. I love this skin too, by the way. Very nice skin. The brown one with the, I don't know what it is, leopard? Mountain lion design, I don't know. But you see a lot of women in dresses with this design. Don't know if it was meant that way. So we win this match as well. You can definitely get 3-4 kills in this plane on a regular basis. Very nice plane. 4 kills. I don't actually remember which windscreen this is, but we got Final Blow, Terror of the Sky, Bulletproof, 40,000 Silver Lions, and 3,000 research points. I'll see you in the conclusion. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Now this is a very nice Focke-Wulf, as with all Focke-Wulfs. This one gets an air start, and you can put it into the fighter configuration. The stat sheet gives it a completely worse turn time and climb rate and maximum speed and all that, yes. It doesn't feel like that is the case in the real performance. It is very much like the A8, like this, without the 30mm pots, and the speeds are actually better. In a dive, this thing is fantastic, great firepower, and fantastic roll rate, of course, which is something you got to make use of. With the air start, this plane is fabulous. You actually get to use it in the boom and zoom roll without all those Spitfires above you and stuff like that. And you don't need excessive side climbing in this plane as well because of that. So all in all, very nice. I had a joy flying it. You can definitely use it in other capacities if you want. So that makes this a very versatile Focke-Wulf 190 that has some special tricks up its sleeve, and that is always nice. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.